This roller coaster linked to sugar leads to brain fog. Anxiety is a big thing, and even in our children.
We have accessibility to all these different types of foods. You don't need to be married to one.
This is what I preach. I don't believe in diet.
When you're feeling certain type of way, you have to identify whether that is a misleading signal or is that a true biological signal.
Intermittent fasting works very well on men, doesn't work so well on women.
All 8 billion of us are doing metabolism at all times. This show is about learning what metabolism is, how it affects you in every way possible, from mood and mental state to performance and energy. We are all about fine-tuning the human experience for you to achieve the best self you can be. And if you are someone who loves science, curious to know how your body works and how to optimize it, then you are in the right place. This is the H.V.M.N. podcast.
Welcome back to the H.V.M.N. Nutrition podcast. In this episode, we have Sophie Teixeira, who is a Nutri-Chef, and I'll let her explain to you what is Nutri-Chef and what her qualifications are. But today, we are talking and cooking. We will be talking about different types of foods as with regards to metabolic health, what it means to have good nutrition, and really let you know what tips and advice that you can take away in order to live healthy and happily, but still have great foods in your kitchen.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's absolutely right. This is my passion. I love making things simple for people to slowly make small changes in their diet. I don't believe in diet. I call it the small change diet. This is what works.
Great.
And we're here in my kitchen. I told you to come to my kitchen because I wanted you to see the food, to touch the food, and to make it with me, something that takes no time to do, that anyone can do in the comfort of their own home, that tastes delicious. I'm French. I won't give up on taste. And
Thank you for lending this beautiful kitchen.
Thank you. And that doesn't have the frustration of another diet. This is my passion. I want to transmit this to people.
Great. And before I forget as well, let's have a shot of Ketone-IQ.
Ooh.
This is Sophie's first shot.
I'm a bit scared.
Have it. It's fine. Don't be scared.
Tell us why we're doing this.
Why we're doing this?
Yes.
Because I take it every time before podcast. It helps me wire my brain up and really get me in the zone to make sure I'm focused as well as coherent when it comes to either putting my points across or even asking questions.
Okay, I need that. Cheers.
What do you think?
It's okay. You say it wasn't that good. It's okay. Aha.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Tell me about 15 minutes. How you feel about.
So it doesn't have caffeine, right?
No,
I don't
it does
take
not have
caffeine
caffeine
anymore.
That's the great thing. It's not a stimulant. It's literal fuel that you're providing to your body.
So it's almost getting naturally the fuel, the stimulation.
Yeah. It's
the
like
energy. And
it's like getting clean fuel. It's like that's not sugar.
Let me grab a water.
I know. Yeah, but like
Because the aftertaste.
yeah. Yeah. Water is always the best to water it down.
See, my way before I met you was to take electrolytes in my water, salt and lemon, and here we go. And I was thinking more clearly.
Yeah.
And
Easy.
so let's see where it leads us.
And we can use that part for the ad too. Yeah. So you can just cut that. Remember that. Yeah.
All right.
So, all right, let's start off by telling our audience who you are, who is Sophie Teixeira, what do you do?
I can't hide it. I'm French. So I'm a French woman. I'm 42 years old. I live in Miami. Been living here for 6 years. And I think, so I wear 2 hats. I wear the hat of a Nutri-Chef, a health chef. So a chef that is focused on healthy food. And I'll be soon certified as executive chef. So I have all the techniques of molecular cuisine and all the techniques of the chef throughout the cuisine.
What makes an executive chef?
What makes an executive chef? Somebody who knows the techniques of all over the world cuisine. Somebody who knows how to manage people in a restaurant, manage a restaurant. Somebody who knows how to communicate what they do. Somebody who's innovative in the kitchen and I guess passionate about cooking.
So we'll be seeing you on Iron Chef soon.
Oh, yes, I'd love that. But no, the reason, let me go back a little bit, because I started my entrepreneur career with my illness. So like most of us in this world, my health journey started with my illness. That was back in 2017. I freshly arrived to the US. I had to invest in a business. It was a store and a restaurant by the pool in a condo of South Beach. And I was on my own. I was in a new city, moving from Barbados with 3 children. My husband still commuting from Barbados. On my own, new world, and a lot of stress from this new business to run. And all the possible things that could go wrong were going wrong. And I had to deal with this. This was at that time that I felt the most awful in my life. I could not sleep. I was waking up at night. I was waking up running on coffee because I didn't have any energy. My hair was falling in clumps. I was very stressed. More and more things I could go through that, but I had no energy. I had none of my positivism anymore. I didn't recognize myself. Borderline depression. And I was like, this is it. I have to take back my health into my own hands and do something. And funny, the world works in funny ways, because I met 2 different people who talked to me about the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which is what I enrolled in 2 days after. I was like, this is it. This is for me. It's my calling. And after, I'd say a month and a half, 2 months into the program of IIN, I discovered the craziness, the immensity of the changes that had already started in my life. I had energy. I was sleeping better. I was digesting food better. All these things were happening, and I knew it was from what I had learned and implemented in my own life.
So when you were having all those problems, did you see a doctor?
That's a very good point. I did not know who to see. I had a gynecologist, like most women, and I was new to this city, so I did not have a personal doctor or a functional doctor. It turns out that this gynecologist is very much a functional doctor, and she's very natural options orientated, which I loved. And soon with IIN, I started testing, because I discovered the world of the different tests that exist out there. And it's important to test, not guess in this world, because we're all very different, and fatigue could come from an array of different issues. It turned out I was hypothyroidism. I had hypothyroidism, subclinical, which means my levels of thyroid were not great. We can go into more details. My whole family is on levothyroxine, and I never was, and to this date, I am not. And I'm dealing with my levels, and they're now in the range. They're not optimal, but they're in the range and they're good. And I do not need this so far. And this is due to lifestyle changes and food that can have a healing impact.
And that literally changed or transformed your life from not even remotely close to being a chef.
No.
To who you are now.
Oh, no, I wasn't a chef back then.
Yeah.
No.
What were you doing before?
So I have to say that I grew up in a family where cuisine and food was at the center of everything. My mom is an amazing chef, very heavy and on things that are very French and that are so tasty. So I grew up with this, and food has always been there. And when I lived in Barbados, it could not work, and I was creating new dishes, baking bread. I was always into cooking, but not specifically healthy. Then I discovered nutrition, and I became a certified nutrition health coach, and I started helping other women, mostly women, to transform the way they eat. It's very sad that in the US, food and culture are very related. And in the US, I think that a lot of people are dependent on hyper-processed food. And I can't blame them. It's easy. It's highly palatable. It's super delicious. I can't say the contrary.
Just 2 days ago,
it's addictive.
I interviewed Sean Stevenson for H.V.M.N podcast as well, so 2 episodes before this. He threw up these facts, these studies that showed children in America, 60% of the diet consists of ultra-processed food.
I see it firsthand. I see it at school. I see it. We just came out of Halloween.
Yeah, of course.
And so it doesn't mean that I stop my kids from eating sweets. No, but it's once it's a rare. What matters is what you do every day, not one day like this. So yes, there has been sweets at Halloween, but they all disappeared.
So my background is, in basic science, metabolic health, metabolic science, as well as physiology. So I'm really curious with, the IIN that was, can you remind me what it stands for again?
The Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Institute for Integrative Nutrition. What do they teach you exactly in terms of understanding the human body, the digestive system, and how they interact with different systems?
I learned everything there. And then since then I continue learning, but I learned that everything is related. It's not just the food. Actually, they call the food that you have on your plate, they call it secondary food. They told us how important the primary food is. And there's a list of about 12 primary food. And off the top of my head, it's spirituality, relationships, home environment, stress management. There's exercise, daily movement. All of these make up who you are and have a role to play in your health. If you can eat all the broccoli or the kale in the world, if you're stressed, if you have bad relationship with someone in your life that is eating you, you're never gonna get through your symptoms.
Right.
And that's what I love. It's a very holistic approach. That's why it's called integrative nutrition. It's because it takes nutrition, so the food, as part of a whole, and all these other elements. And it's funny because every module we had a part on food and something very interesting about that micronutrient or this specific food for the liver, for the gut. And we had stress management. The other day it was moving your body. There was always a link because we would go into cortisol management and and see the link. Everything is interrelated. And then I went further after I graduated. I went further into digging more into the gut health and the hormonal balance, hormonal health.
Now, let's go back to your personal story when you had hypothyroidism, right? So what exactly, I know you said, you did an array of things that eventually led to your improvement of health. Can you identify some of those practices just for our audience, if some of them can relate to you, that's what they're experiencing? What could they do to improve their condition?
Okay, so for me it was hypothyroidism. It's a very common thing in the world for women especially. And the symptoms first are being extremely tired, having very dry skin, nails and hair, losing or thinning hair, having sometimes people don't know, but the outer of your eyebrow is falling as well, so you don't have that. It's digestive issues. It's a host of being very cold all the time.
Right.
All these things because your metabolism is not that good, that optimal. And it's important to know that these could come from a different. It's not because you're tired that you're hypothyroidism. I think with thyroid issues, you have to identify the causes. Toxins, toxin load in your body can be one of them. Can come from anything from your personal care to your kitchen cleaning equipment to the products that you use, the things that you eat that are full of pesticides and chemicals. So lowering the burden is one major thing, I thought. There's also low iodine, could be a deficit of iodine, and there are a lot of goodness in seaweeds, in all these green, and me too. I put kombu in my broth. I made some this morning. Yeah, it tastes amazing, and it just adds that extra mineral. So mineral deficiency is something that you need to look at. Yep. You need to pay attention to all aspects of your diet and eat. But this is more generic for everyone. Adding more. It's not about removing. It's about adding more whole foods, adding more fruit, vegetables, beans, nuts, seeds, whole grain. All these things that are plant-based, and I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan. I know what you're going to say.
We're gonna
talk about this. And healthy and qualitative protein, clean source of protein. And we can go into more details. Yeah. Because we need those amino acids. My hair falling was also because I was starting to want to be healthy and lose weight by eating salads. Don't eat salads. I love saying that. Don't eat salads. Just create a bowl that is nourishing. And it means some qualitative source of protein.
And iodine helps with hair growth as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, there's some in the hair product. I can show you the little supplements that I take.
Amazing.
So supplements is a big thing. It was a big thing on my health journey. And supplement is another subject I'd love to touch on, because there is 95%. I don't know if this is the right, but there's a lot of products that are not right, either not sufficient enough or not from the right source. So I like to recommend, and I don't have any parts in any company, so I don't really like to name anything, but I know a few that are really recommendable for your listeners. We can go in more
I
detail.
always talk on the show as well, like making sure to dial in all the foundational aspects first, right?
Yeah.
Your stress management, your nutrition, your exercise. And as you said earlier, no matter how much broccoli or kale you eat, if your other major aspects of life are not in order, then it's impossible to create an optimal health.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, before food, not before food, but just have nothing food, before food. Nothing before. I can't say that. It's the stress management, and the stress management has a huge impact on everything else. Having the tools in your toolbox to know when to calm down, when to live in the present moment, when to just go out because everybody else is annoying you. You just go out for a walk and you come back and you're cool. Breathing is a huge part of my new healthy habits, and that has an incredible impact on your health.
H.V.M.N talks about this all the time. Breathwork of different types of simple breathing exercises that people can employ, and it literally
anytime
relaxes you, activates your nervous system, or relaxes your nervous system, and just in general make you less anxious.
Yes.
Right.
Anxiety is a big thing in
Let's talk about anxiety.
Even in our children, I see it.
Let's talk about anxiety, especially in children. Especially we just came off of Halloween. A lot of sugar, a lot of chocolates.
Impossible to sleep.
What are your thoughts around sugar and anxiety?
I love this question. Thank you. It's actually where I start.
I love the passion that.
I always start with the explanation about blood sugar stabilization. So it's going back to your point. Sugar is for me one of the major culprits here in the U.S. Around the world, but in the standard American diet, it's huge. And sugar is linked, and blood sugar spikes and crashes. And so when your blood sugar goes up and down, and we can go in more details, the insulin, glucagon, and the cortisol that is released. This roller coaster linked to sugar leads to brain fog. Your neurons are not actually able to, or slowing down. So you have this way of thinking that is not very not like us, because we have that the keto. No, but so you have brain fog. You have this jittery effect of sugar on kids. You mentioned it with Halloween. So it's instant burst of energy. Yes, sugar leads to energy. You have the insulin grabs the sugar in your blood and brings it to the cell, and the rest it stores as fat. It's not fat that makes us fat, it's sugar for me. The overconsumption of sugar.
Yeah, so overconsumption
exactly.
Ends up putting it into fat.
And maybe it's the right time to say that not all sugars are the same, and not all carbohydrates. And if you have to have some kind of sugar to get the energy that you need, get it from the fruit, get it from the vegetables, get it from the whole grains, from natural products. There is plenty, and and make them taste good. Or cinnamon is also a trick that I love. Cinnamon. You know how you wean off someone from putting sugar in their coffee? You ask them to try to put cinnamon in their coffee instead of sugar, a little bit. And this, you know how cinnamon tastes sweet? You add cinnamon whenever I roast sweet potatoes. I add cinnamon. It just enhances the flavor. Cinnamon is a great tool on your journey to wean off sugar. It's great. There's plenty of things that can replicate. I think it's important not to go to let's take Coke, for instance. People, I'm out of sugar. I'm off sugar. I drink Diet Coke. No, because Diet Coke doesn't have sugar per se, but it has replacement that also first endocrine disruptors, and that also keeps your palate addicted to the sweet taste. And we want you off that addiction of the sweet taste, be it from the processed food, real sugar or not real sugar. And I think there's plenty of things you can do. One of the key thing I tell my clients is don't start your day with something sweet. Try to have for breakfast something that is not super sweet, because you'll see how it impacts your cravings in the afternoon. You'll have less craving. You'll see how it impacts the way you eat all day.
So something like eggs, avocado,
salmon. That's one thing, the very basic one. Some people don't like either to prepare it for themselves in the morning. So for those people, you could do a chia pudding in 5 minutes and make some for the week. You could do a...
Never tried chia.
Oh la la, I have to make one with you. You have to make one with me. We'll make my cashew milk and I'll show you. It takes 5 minutes.
Okay.
And this is sweet, but from the coconut milk, sweet from everything else that is not bad
Not refined sugar.
Not refined sugar. Exactly. Natural.
Just the sugar contained.
And fruit. I mean, we're frugivores. Our body knows how to process fruits, and I love to tell people to eat fruit in the morning. Maybe not every day, but fruit in the morning. Not in the afternoon if you want to lose weight, because they contain calories. But take a blender and put 2 fruits, your favorite ones. Add some 3 cashew nuts, a Brazil nut. Brazil are full of selenium for your thyroid. Bam, you have what you need for the day. You put some filtered water, and then you blend this. It creates a smoothie. Add some greens, maybe a leaf of kale or something, and you have a nutritious breakfast. Not to say that you need to eat a smoothie every day, but this could be part. And then you rotate, and you see how it impacts your cravings later. You see how when you eat smoked salmon, avocado, or an egg and avocado toast, for instance, in the morning, this impacts your cravings or your thoughts, because that's the other thing. Sugar creates irritation, creates bad thoughts, and I really notice it. I notice it in myself when I go off the road, in the holidays, and I know why. But I'm lucky enough to know, and I know exactly what to do to get back on track. And this is what I try to teach people, so they have the same toolbox.
I think that's a great point. It's we talk about this a lot. In fact, in the past 2 days, I've talked about this so much, about knowing your body well.
Mm-hmm.
No one can tell you how
it's good for you.
You'd feel, how or what you're feeling is correct or not.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you have to do that. But also know that when you're feeling certain type of way, you have to identify whether that is a misleading signal or is that a true biological signal.
It takes time, right?
It takes time.
It's not a
trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, it's a trial and error.
I mean, I am still trying to figure out my body.
You need to be an observer. You need to be connected to yourself. You need to be aware of how you feel when you wake up today. It takes time.
Now that we are on the topic of sugar, I want to ask you some questions around different diets.
Yes. Okay.
So there are different thoughts around diets that exclude certain macronutrients like sugar. So keto diet has very, low carb intake. And then there are certain diets that exclude certain food groups like carnivore diet or vegan diet that completely excludes plant-based materials, plant-based foods, or meats, or animal meats. So let's start with keto versus glucose or a high-carb diet or, just a standard diet. What do you think of that?
It's funny, we live in a world where all these diets have a place, have a solid science behind them, and yet some of them are opposed completely. And we were discussing that earlier. You have some great results for some people with the carnivore diet, some great results with some people, even with cancer, with the plant-based diet. And yet, to me, I'm confident that this is what I preach. I don't believe in diets. All these diets, there's 100 of them, maybe more. they all are an important tool on a journey. They can move the needle for a person eating low FODMAP for certain people with IBS, and they are a tool on a journey. They are not a sustainable way of eating or feeding yourself. So I sometimes approach this diet with a client, but my goal is to teach them how to eat real food, mostly plant-based and not too much, like Michael Pollan was saying. So we can talk about the ketogenic diet. We can talk about the vegetarian diet. I think that in the long run, they lead to deficiencies. So you would have to supplement your way out of it first, and it will lead to other health issues. It will heal something, but then create more trouble down the line. That's my opinion.
And that's the beauty of life, because we have the option to change the diet. We have the option to be flexible. We have accessibility to all these different types of foods. You don't need to be married to one.
No.
Just because someone is being saved from a certain condition, from a specific diet, doesn't mean that the diet becomes your liege.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean that the diet is now owning your life. We are evolving organism.
And this makes me think about food sensitivities. People ask me, should I take a food sensitivity test? It's interesting, but they have to remember it's a snapshot of that moment of their life. If they are told you can't take almonds, spinach, strawberry, olive, and tomatoes, like I was told at some point in my journey, don't think that you'll have to take them out for the rest of your life. They are at this time irritating your digestive system, therefore take them out momentarily. In a month, in 2 months, we check again, and then you can slowly reintroduce when your gut is healing.
Yeah, when people often develop intolerance and allergies throughout their lifetime.
Yeah, and they can evolve. Allergies can go and...
Exactly. And this is the funny thing about stuff we do. Social media, platforms, podcasts. And people get really angry, right? They're like, stop posting this shit. Like, stop lying, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm just posting what the science data, the science study says. I'm not telling you how to live your life.
No.
But let's be real here. If your parents can't make you eat vegetables, you think I, a random person that you're scrolling through, can change your life? So is your anger towards me, or is your anger coming from within and looking at something that is not agreeable to your pre-programmed mind? So think about that, right?
Again, it's about being open it's understanding and trial and error on your body, understanding what works for you. I was telling you earlier, my husband has a beautiful coffee machine. I go past it. I don't even want it now, but I used to be a huge coffee drinker, cigarette smoker, you name it. And I quit all of this when I started H.V.M.N.
It's very trendy in France.
To smoke. I know.
Patio.
Yes. No, and now I'm not even tempted anymore. It just didn't have a place, again, with the toxin, putting all this toxin in my body. Not for the coffee, sorry. That was for the cigarette. Coffee is very bio-individual. And this is what we're talking about. Bio-individuality, the fact that what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. One person's superfood can be another person's poison, And for my husband, coffee he sleeps like a baby. For me, I had to quit coffee because I had insomnia, and really quitting coffee really moved the needle for me. That's why I cannot even think about having a cup now. I don't want to ruin everything. But I will never take it off him because it's such a treat for him, and it doesn't have an impact on his life. So we're very different. We have to understand how I work. But as you were saying, it's about learning to prepare food for yourself, as opposed, healthy food, real food, normal food that grow, as opposed to relying on deliveries or highly processed food that you buy and that are convenient.
Speaking of processed food, I just released a piece of content from studies that compared real meats from animals.
I saw that one.
With fake meats. And people are coming for me. So I'm like, look,
The more you're out there, the more
I'll say if I'm against veganism, I'm not against vegetarian. If you are leading that lifestyle, that's great for you. As long as you can get whole foods and get all the nutrients you need.
Yeah.
Hey, live a happy, healthy life. But I am just talking about fake meats, which are highly processed. What are your thoughts on that?
You will never see me with a Beyond Burger in my fridge. Never. If you crave a burger, have this burger. If like once, don't make it a habit of eating burger, but have it and enjoy it. But I don't see the point of recreating something that doesn't take six. I've never had success. And don't go for over-processed plant-based. I have a thing with plant-based food is that it became a trend. So you go in the aisles and you read, gluten-free. But this is full of, if you're not educated, if you don't know how to read the ingredient lists, as opposed to the macro and macronutrients. No, what's important is what's inside. A peanut butter, an almond butter, I have it here. Yes, if it doesn't have a list of 15 ingredients. Yes, if it says almonds. And that's it. And so I'm all for helping people understand how to transition away from processed food. And Beyond Burger, I'm sorry, but these highly processed, because they are plant-based food, recreating something from an animal, like sausages, tofu sausages. No, I'm not interested in this. I eat tofu sometimes. I eat tempeh sometimes. It's good as well. But no, there's a lot of nutrients from all the other vegetables, fruits, whole grain.
I get to interview all these doctors, scientists, and cool people in this health and fitness industry, all made possible because of this podcast that is funded by the company I work for, which is Health via Modern Nutrition, or H.V.M.N. And it is not that they pay me to do this, but I genuinely love and believe in the product Ketone-IQ. I use it every day before my podcast, before my workout, or even after my workout for recovery. There hasn't been a single supplement that can give me such a drastic change in subjective feel within minutes as much as Ketone-IQ has. For those of you who do not know me, I'm from Malaysia, I got my PhD from the UK, and my passion is in science and chronic diseases, and I believe it is all about transparency, scientific integrity, and about sharing with everyone so that everyone can benefit from it. And if you like this content and our work, please do support us by liking, leaving a review, or sharing with your friends and families, or even buying a shot of Ketone-IQ at any Sprouts nationwide in the US, and the first shot is on us. Just scan the QR code and you'll get your money back for your first shot. You can also use the code HVMNPOD20, that is HVMNPOD20, and get 20% off your first purchase at the H.V.M.N. website.
Yeah, that's the thing, because this fake meat industry, I think the priority when they became a trend, or when they start developing it, is to prioritize one, the taste, two, texture.
So there's still salt and sugar and things like this.
Yeah. So whatever combination that gives them the closest taste and texture to meat would then become the replacement or the imitation. But they didn't think a lot about the nutrition part.
No.
That's a
there are products in there. There are ingredients that are not healthy per se.
Yeah, that's what I told people. Yes, they are plant-based. So nowadays, I think there are different types. People have to look out for whole plant-based versus plant-based.
Yeah.
Because people can say it's plant-based when they use like one plant component, but everything else is chemical that is made in the lab that is not even close to animals or plant-based.
Yeah.
It's literally just a chemical. And yes, I know everything is chemical. Yeah, you get chemicals from the plants and animals, but you get the cofactors, you get the nutrients, and it's meant to be consumed and metabolized in the body.
Yeah. Yep. True.
So, speaking of all these different foods, right? What are the different foods that we should avoid to avoid increasing inflammation? And what are the foods that we should eat in order to reduce inflammation? And I'm talking about chronic inflammation.
Yeah.
Right?
This is everything I'm about. I created a 5-day reset meal plan. It's all anti-inflammatory, and it starts without gluten and without dairy. again, we could have a discussion, but I figured for my hypothyroidism that gluten and dairy were, and from the fact that I know my DNA from DNA testing, and that I don't have, I have an intolerance to dairy. So it doesn't mean that I can't have it, but I know I'm not digesting it as well. So I took out gluten and dairy from my recipes. I didn't take them out. I just don't include them in there. And I created a meal plan, morning, lunch, and dinner of things that are truly anti-inflammatory. So I'm going to answer your question now. I think the inflammation comes from refined sugar, from the bad fats, so the fried things that you eat. The donut is the embodiment of everything. I think that is inflammatory. So
that's a great example.
The bad fat with the sugar. I can't get more wrong, and yet it's delicious if you think about it. But you don't. It's
melting.
Well, and it's funny enough, I don't crave that. I don't crave it anymore. Super happy. Anyway, so there's alcohol as well that leads back to sugar. I can still have a glass of a really, really good Bordeaux wine because that doesn't. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's everything in moderation.
A lot of people, they come to my post and they're like, "Yo, like we've got a short life. Like let
exactly.
live their life." I'm like, please live your life. You know, you make your choices. It's grown as adults, make your own choices, and live with the consequences.
Yeah.
I'll try to be as healthy as I can. Am I going to be perfect? No.
It's about progress, not perfection. This is the big thing. And on a Friday night, my husband comes back home because he's here only the weekend, and we open a good bottle of red wine, and we have fun and we relax, and that's fine. And I pay the consequence, I know, and I accept it. And I know the next day I'm going to have to, I start the day with a celery juice and something. And it's fine. And I feel good because I chose it. And you know what? Another thing about sugar and cravings, it's not that for the rest of your life you'll never eat these things again that you used to love so much. I have cravings, but healthier cravings.
Yeah.
Dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Sometimes popcorn, very healthy that I make.
Really nice. When, let's say you have a wine with your husband, you are also increasing social activity. You're increasing oxytocin.
Yes, exactly.
The love, the passion, the community,
do it with intention.
Exactly. Like all of that is also very helpful in the health.
Of course, it's part of the...
Yeah, if you want to have an ideal robotic life, yes, you can do that.
I know, but having joy in your life is part of the puzzle. You have to have that. So no, I'm never going to give up on these things. But I also know what it does. And I know that with age, it creates a bit more headaches. I don't look as good in the morning and the next day. It's fine. But I plan it. And I'm not having wine the rest of the week, So it's about moderation and it's about choosing your battles. And for someone who's addicted to something, to slowly wind off it, you have to plan it and say, there's a special occasion. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have it at 4:00. So it's almost plan it, enjoy it, and move on. But no, understand before that, everything that's truly nourishing your body and your soul and your mind and your thoughts, And omega-3s and healthy fats are important. People tend to eat salads and stay away from protein and fats. No, and you were saying what healed my thyroid. It's to mindfully reintroduce some form of healthy fat in the form of olive oil, in the form of avocado, coconut, all these things that are, and fatty fish, that are very nourishing for your brain cells, and healthy. I'd like to make a point on protein, animal protein. When you look, it's not that you should never eat red meat, chicken, eggs, no. But when you go and you're at the store, instead, it's almost each time for protein, choosing the most expensive one. It's not the same for the rest, but it means choosing for red meat, the one that says grass-fed. Same for butter. Same if you eat butter. Same for when you choose a chicken, it has to say no antibiotics, no hormones given. It doesn't mean anything that it's natural or organic. To me, it needs to be stamped, no antibiotic, no hormones.
But organic certified also.
Organic is good. The natural, it doesn't say anything. And the eggs go for pasture raised. Again, it's what the animal eats that makes your health or destroy your health. So this is very important for me. And again, I don't have meat every day, but I have here an egg. I have some chicken. I just made chicken broth. I use the pulled chicken throughout the week and the broth to create healthy soups. I made our quinoa with some of that broth. Just it flavors and it gives minerals to your... it's all these little tips.
So what's the difference between, this is for me actually, what's the difference between pasteurized egg or pasture raised?
Wait, pasture raised
Egg
and
versus
cage-free?
organic versus cage-free.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure. I learned that pasture raised is the highest possible quality, and as it says, pasture raised. So they didn't eat corn, basically.
Got it.
But organic is good, and cage free is good. But it's almost like you add a level. Wait, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't go for the large AAA eggs that cost $1. That's all I'm saying, because you can either make your health or destroy your health.
Yeah, usually what I said, like organically certified, you will automatically put those foods in the category that they won't use synthetic hormones, they won't use antibiotics and all these different chemicals that will increase productivity at the expense of the health of the animals.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of different foods that people are very passionate about, right? And I want to hear your thoughts around
Tell me.
gluten.
Yes.
Let's talk about gluten first, and then I want to talk about milk.
I hope I can.
No,
because I don't have a question.
I have opinions about that. It's all over my page now, and people are going crazy about it.
I've gone through waves with the gluten. So I'm French, so the baguette and the butter. So the croissant, everything. I have had plenty. I've been addicted to this in the morning. My kids still eat bread in the morning. I am not against flour based food. I think it's interesting not to, as part of your journey of removing highly processed food, it's interesting to remove the cakes, all the bakeries, basically. This is important, and not just because of the gluten, for everything else that's inside. Now, if you talk about gluten, there has been an evolution of gluten, and the gluten sensitivity today comes from the fact that the wheat has been sprayed, has been developed in a way that now creates more inflammation in the body. And you are scientific, you know more details than I do on the subject. But over the years, gluten, there wasn't such a thing back in the years, my parents or my grandparents' time. There wasn't any gluten sensitivity. Today there is. It's a fact. There's celiac, so that's something very specific. It's an allergy. And there's the rest. Some people are intolerant or sensitive to gluten. It's funny because if you want to test, you can test, but you have to have had gluten for the past 2 or 3 weeks in good quantity before you take the test. So it's not a test that I want to take. Right. I feel my body and I know how I feel after I eat bread or pizza or these things. No, which I don't anymore.
Gluten is the problem, or is the source of where the gluten comes from? The wheat.
Oh,
it's the problem.
The wheat that has evolved over the year, the high production, the industrialization of the production that has led to a molecule that is more creating inflammation in your.
Just because my science brain is like starting to try and analyze it, it'll be interesting to see how the body perceives gluten as the molecule. Now versus 40, 50 years ago, what's the difference? And if we can find that molecular change, then it will be obvious to, do something about it and improve it. I mean, that's just out of curiosity.
How could we do that, though, if we don't have the
stats before?
But I think most people's question is, should I eat or not eat gluten? And it's a dangerous slope, because when you go gluten-free, you go down the aisles of gluten-free and you fill yourself with sugar-loaded food. So I am not a big fan of gluten-free. I love when Nutella says it's gluten-free. Of course it's gluten-free. It doesn't have gluten, but it's full of shit. So I don't know if we can name brands. We might just remove that part. But this is, it became such a big thing that the gluten-free is everywhere. Be careful. Go for like natural, real food or gluten-free naturally. Fruit, vegetables, this is gluten-free. Now, when it comes to whole wheat, I have a thing and I can show you some bread. If it's here, yeah.
This is for those who are watching on YouTube.
This is Dave's Killer Bread. And I've done a lot of investigation as to which bread was the less sweet and the more nutrient-dense. Whole wheat is still a nutrient-dense food. And for the people who can handle it, it's great. This is the brand that I go to. So my kids eat this in the morning sometimes. I don't have a problem with gluten. And I know that I don't start my day with a piece of bread anymore. I do it in the summer when I'm in France and when I enjoy that because it's part of the culture. But no, I do much better without the bread. And to your point and moving to dairy, I do much better without bread and butter. And I don't eat cheese here. I eat cheese in France. And I know I have to suffer the consequences, but it's better. It's less. Here it's very plastic. And the cheese here is not good. So it's easier for me to stay away from it.
So you're allowed to comment on the cheese.
Yes, yeah, I can say that. No, I love cheese, but it's easy for me not to eat it here because it's not as flavorful, not as tempting. But again, I find that I used to eat my granola with cow's milk. And again, I would say...
This is people are very, very on milk. Be it cow's milk, be it breast milk, be it clotted milk.
So, see, I'm a dairy and gluten-free, but I have this and I have this. This is to show that we don't have to be completely dogmatic about it. And this milk is grass-fed, which means that what the cow ate is better than other milk, and it transfers to the milk. So I don't have a problem with my kids drinking this. For me, if you ask me, I would do a cashew milk, blend some cashews with water and a few dates, and it's delicious and replaces it completely. I eat oats. Oats I know they're gluten-free, but they're also there's a debate about that because there's cross-contamination. But I don't have celiac. I just know that for my thyroid, for my health and for my energy, I do better without the breads. And
what about what do you think of milk in general? Should people be drinking milk? Are they harmful? Are they good for you?
I don't think milk is harmful when it comes from a healthy source. This is a point. If I have genes that show a SNP in you know that better than me, but that shows that I'm more intolerant to milk. I'm not allergic at all, but it means that my body will have a harder time processing it. I will bloat more. Yeah. All these things, and you can feel it. It's even fun. You do it. It's not going to harm you, but you know that it's bloating you. Do you want that? No. Do you stay off milk? Yeah. For me, I don't take everybody off of milk. Yeah. It's a process. It's a journey. You have to try and see for yourself.
And it goes back to what you said earlier, bio-individuality. Mm-hmm. Everyone reacts differently. And people have been drinking milk, all types of different milk, for centuries.
Yes. And it has
goat milk, buffalo's milk.
Has good form of protein.
Yeah. So,
and
but
calcium.
The way I see it is that if you can get those same proteins or same nutrients, calcium, phosphorus, vitamin D from other sources that you love,
go for it. Go for it,
right?
Of course.
You don't need to fight a war to demand your diet.
I am not one of those people. I can't do that because, and also scientific discoveries evolve. You have to keep learning and discovering. We used to think this, now we know that. And you have to stay.
At the same time, I am grateful for these people because that shows that how passionate they are. And if they're passionate about something, then there is hope that a lot more people can improve their health.
What I love is seeing someone who wants to change.
Yes.
And I'm here to help. You're here to help them as well. And that's what I love because it's rare. I often hear, I need to give up on this, or no, forget it, I'm not going to do it. I love people who come to me and have a strong reason to change. Either they don't sleep, or they really have digestive issues, or they have extreme fatigue. They have something that is so severe, so hampering their daily life, that they want a change.
Yeah.
And these are the people who will succeed, because after you explain and simplify a few things, and then give them some simple things to do in their daily life, simple habits.
You can't help people who don't help.
Oh no.
Exactly. So another very popular topic is women's hormones,
Yeah.
and women's health in general. I just don't think there are enough studies on women and aging women and nutrition when it comes to women. A lot of studies, especially if they're just done on men, it'll be very hard to translate into women population. So what are your best advice for women to be healthy, happy, and have delicious?
It's a wide subject. Do you know first that there's something that has been proven that intermittent fasting, which is very popular,
That's going to
works
be my next question too.
works very good, very well on men, doesn't work so well on women. And there's a reason for that. And it's all linked to the thyroid as well, somehow. Intermittent fasting, your listeners know, it's when you create a space in between meals so that your body has the time to repair and recover and regenerate. The simple way to do it, everybody does it, is you stop eating in the evening and you wake up and you eat your breakfast. This is a form of intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting, you extend that period. So either you finish your dinner earlier, or you start your breakfast later. And I see a lot of women saying, I'm doing intermittent fasting, I don't know, it's not working for me. And it's because it's been found that it creates a stress on the body. And when your thyroid is also struggling, it's a stress, a bit like exercising. So these are two things that I really tell women: stop exercising, stop killing yourself in the gym, because it's not helping. It's counterproductive, and you won't lose the weight because your body needs that rest and needs to lower the stress. And this is a form of stress, as much as not eating for a longer period of time is a form of stress. Same way for a cold shower and Wim Hof bath that I've been trying with a friend who's a Wim Hof instructor, and it's really good. It works better for men somehow.
Interesting.
Right. And
so don't over-exercise and don't under-eat.
yes.
And
Under-eating is not going to give you the results you need. It's funny, the body and everything in life needs balance, or goes back to balance. And this is a way of finding balance to create, I guess, it won't lose the weight because it's going through a stress. It's difficult.
It's in a survival mode, so your body will prioritize in holding on to fuels and storage as much as possible, because they don't know, or the cells don't know, when they will get the fuel next time.
Exactly.
Like when it's going to go through the famine, go through hunger again. Now,
from experience, one last point on this is that men do better skipping breakfast. This is a way to talk about intermittent fasting. Skipping breakfast. For women, it's more efficient to stop eating at 6 or 7 in the evening and doing your intermittent fasting on the other side, on the evening side.
Okay.
Because eating late will create more disturbance. A lot of us women, but men as well, have cravings at night, and we eat late, and that's not right at all. This little thing to change, and again, it's not very social. It's not very social to eat at 7. But when you can during the week, do that. Stop eating very early, go to bed not too late, and see how your body is then much more able, how your energy is in the morning, and your body is much more able to lose the weight. If you eat the same calories, but you extend it more, it's more of an experience that I found with the clients, with myself.
Are there any studies to support this?
I don't know. This is really what I have experienced. And I know that if I want to lose the 2 kilos that I will go and do this. This is the one thing I will change, not changing the calories. I already eat pretty healthily, but this is important. And a lot of my friends finding it easy to lose the weight by not eating in the morning. Again, I don't exactly know the science behind it.
So what we can say, because we don't have a study and clinically proven, we can say that if you're already fasting, what's the harm in trying this method?
Obviously.
Just shift the hours a little bit and see if it works for you, because ultimately everyone's different, right? So if you're curious and if you're a woman and struggling with your lifestyle change and whatnot, this could be a way to do it.
I've often heard women going to me and saying, I eat pretty healthily, I intermittent fast, I don't eat breakfast. I'm like, we're going to do this. You start eating breakfast again. And I explain to them a variety of breakfasts that they can eat. And I see, because when you skip breakfast for a woman, oftentimes you're going to derail the whole afternoon. You're so happy that you skip breakfast. In your mind, you're like, I have a calorie deficit. I'm starting well. It's good. But then comes the time at lunch that you're a bit more starving. And then in the evening, and then you start eating at 4, at 6. And this is the worst that can happen, is eating all the time, all day long. Even nuts, even healthy foods. But just giving your body something to eat here and there all the time is not good. So this is another thing that I do with my clients.
So I've got a more specific question, because you said, for women especially, don't over-exercise and don't under-eat. What I find difficult, even for men, right, is to quantify that. What is over-exercising? What is under-eating?
Okay.
Like how much is too much? How much is too little?
I always start from what they do, from where they are. If you ask me, I spend 30 minutes every day in my gym room or exercising or on my bike or something. 30 minutes of exercise, sweat, not intense sweat, but and that's my way of starting my day. That's how I feel happy, energized. Not everyone can do that and can put this in their schedule. I think that more movement is necessary. We live in a world where we are in front of our computer and we don't move. So more movement, it can be walking, it can be cycling, it can be anything that brings you pleasure, and sticking to it. I like to say that it's nice to do a bit every day rather than an hour and a half once or twice a week, and especially for women over 40, not to go to high intensity training, and especially in the period, dealing with the time of the months that you're in, having different exercise is important. You have smoother type of exercise when you're over the week or the 2 weeks before your period and during your period, and then after, when you're ovulating and you're in your follicular phase, there is when you can endure more intensity, more cardio. But I know that for me, high intensity cardio doesn't work. And I love having more like bar methods, the bar, the Pilates, all these things are great for women. Weightlifting, but not intense weightlifting. Some weightlifting because it's important for the metabolism. What was your question again?
Yeah, how to quantify, right? How to quantify under-eating and over exercising, and you answered that nicely in terms of it's relative as well. And
Then again, my husband is a triathlete. He needs to exercise 2 hours a day. He wants to, and it makes him happy, and it works for him. He's pushed it too much, and he's come down from it because he was aging. It's funny. He had gone too far in the exercise, and now he's only doing what is necessary for him, what he feels brings him joy and energy, but not at the expense of himself or of our family time.
So, all right, we are at, how long have we arrived at? One hour. Yeah, I felt that. I was like, okay, great. So we can move on to
Cooking.
Wait. So before that, I'm just going to do a little bit closing.
Wait.
Okay, so last but not least, thank you so much for all your advice and tips, and I'm sure our audience would love it. But if they have any additional questions, they want to look out, find out more about you, where can they find you?
They can find me at Root Mindful Nutrition. The best way is on Instagram, root_mindful nutrition. Otherwise, on my website, rootmindfulnutrition.com. And this is where they can find me for coaching or for food tips I think the best is Instagram. I update it almost daily, and
Yeah.
this is where they'll find all the
Check out those
information.
pictures.
Soon, yeah.
Yeah.